What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other day, yes indeed, we went ahead and tried out the brand new update for XDefiant. We went ahead and live streamed it, obviously, and thank you to everybody who tuned in, said hello, hung out with us a little bit, man, and obviously squatted up as well. We always host open lobbies over there, so if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, don't forget to tune into my stream today. We're going to be actually streaming, just as a little heads up, ladies and gentlemen, Daytona. The map is indeed dropping a day early today instead of on Friday. So just so you guys know, we are going to be grinding out that map today on stream over on Twitch for hours and hours because I want to see how that map is going to be. And honestly, I just want to get some content, and I don't know if it's going to be sweaty because honestly, when the update first dropped, it wasn't too sweaty. But since we are approaching the weekend and of course it's a new map, I feel like it might get a little competitive. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, if you guys are interested in tuning into that, I have a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But today I want to hyper focus on the initial update that we went ahead and got, and I gotta be honest, it is extraordinarily good. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, the muzzle booster, changer in a rapid fire barrel. Before, sweats were able to deck out their weapons completely with rapid fire attachments, with zero cons. So their guns were still laser beams, but they shot twice as fast, which made the competitive, players really obnoxious, especially when they're flying around the map, using a lot of movement, along with a gun that's a beam machine with extremely fast fire rate. You can already know the consequences. But now, after this recent nerf, it feels manageable now, When I use it on the MP7, I don't really care for the muzzle booster that much, and same with a lot of the other weapons. It's not really my go-to a lot of the time now, and I still use it, don't get me wrong, but it's going to take a bit more skill, right? It's not like you can just laser beam someone while using a rapid fire barrel. No, you're going to actually have to manage some recoil, so again, the attachment is going to be how it should be. You want to put on a rapid fire barrel to give you a better benefit up close and personal, right? For close engagements, not so you can beam someone across the map and have no recoil with a faster fire rate. That's the complete opposite. So it works as intended now. And I think this is going to kind of shuffle up the meta a little bit because, again, that's what everybody gravitated towards. Basically, all rapid fire attachments because there was no cons whatsoever. So I'm very curious to see how the community is going to adapt and evolve to this. And already after a full day's play session, it seems like they're adapting pretty nicely, and I'm seeing more variety across the board. And talking about variety, the MP7 nerf. I was worried that one of two things was going to occur. Either it was going to be a bit overkill and they destroy the MP7, or the nerf does absolutely nothing and it's still extremely meta. But they nailed it. They did exactly what needs to be done. It amazes me, honestly, because I'm not used to development teams nailing weapon, balancing so nicely. Instantly. It's not like we had to do 1,000,001 tweaks. No, they buffed up other weapons that were weak, and they were able to tune down the MP7 without ruining it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's in a great spot now. Again, if you want to have a faster fire rate, you can indeed put on a muzzle booster or the rapid fire barrel. But it's going to add a tremendous amount of recoil to the MP7, which is great, right? Because we no longer have a SMG that can absolutely destroy at all ranges. You can buff it up with a bunch of rapid fire attachments and has zero cons. No, you actually have to pick and choose your engagements wisely. And if you opt out of using rapid fire and you use the heavy barrel, which is kind of what I am opting into nowadays, I'm removing the rapid fire attachments and I'm kind of leaning more into heavy barrel to get more damage. It's really good still. It's enjoyable. It's fun. But because of the fire rate reduction, personally, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think the MP5 is better. I played for a full day. I versed plenty of sweats who were rocking the MP7. And for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like it was just nothing I could do. 9 times out of 10, when I versed someone before, it was just a nightmare when they had an MP7. But I think this overall update fixed it perfectly because, again, the reason the MP7 was obnoxious was because of two things. It had the damage and range that could compete with a lot of different weapons, but at the same time, it had a fast enough fire rate that it could compete against guns like Vectors as well. It was the best of all worlds. And on top of that, the muzzle booster and rapid fire barrel didn't give any cons to recoil. So, you can have one of the guns with the best all-around stats, and then buff those stats to make it shoot even faster with zero cons, which made it a demon machine. So this overall update here with the nerf to the attachments and also the nerf to the fire rate of the MP7 has really put in a beautiful twist to the overall meta. Seriously, guys, the game-to-game experience now is phenomenal. I still see a bunch of ACRs running around, but still, I think a lot of guns can compete. I think the MDR competes nicely. The M16, the M4 is phenomenal now. The AK, honestly, I prefer over the ACR. And now all the SMGs across the board are lining up very nicely. Again, when I'm versing MP7s, I prefer using the MP5 nowadays. I can't believe I'm saying that now, but they did a really good job. And again, it doesn't feel useless. As you can see in the gameplays I have for you guys, it still puts in work. It's not a bad weapon. It's not like they nerfed it into the ground to make it irrelevant to force people to stop using it. No, they nerfed it down to a point where it's still viable, but you're not going to get annoyed by saying, oh my god, an MP7 again. It's not going to hit you like that. You're going to feel like you can be competent with other weapons in your hands. Then, of course, the Echelon changes. I might make a separate video about Echelon to kind of give tips and tricks to help people improve, because I see people saying they got nerfed into the dirt, which they did get nerfed a lot. But trust me, they are still extremely viable. And again, like I said, I'll have some tips for you guys in future videos on how to effectively take advantage of the Intel suit nowadays after all these nerfs and still be able to, you know, basically stomp out with it. But I think it's in a perfect spot now. Your teammates can't see the enemy outlines through walls, only the user. You can't see them for very long, it's only a second long, and the scans in between take some more time to actually scan. I have versed many Intel users today, and I did not get annoyed at not even a singular time. Again, it's exactly as I expected in my previous video. I pop up as a red dot, and I can use that to manipulate the enemies. It's not like they can see me through walls, and they can predict my movement, and they can predict where I'm going or where I'm heading. No, they just see me up on the minimap, and I can then go ahead and make a play based off of that information. And it's a lot more fun. It's great counterplay, and again, it's still very useful, extraordinarily useful, and I'll have some content coming out to help people get a hang of it and find that it's not as bad as everybody is making it out to be after all of these nerfs. Then, of course, the LVOAC finally got fixed when it comes to iron sights. I've been waiting for ages because I've been wasting one of my slots, my attachment slots, for a red dot because I want to use the max camo for it, but I don't want to look at those horrifying sights that are on the Mastery camos. They finally fixed it, ladies and gentlemen, so of course, if you have, gold, bronze, silver, whatever you got, Prisma, by all means, you can rock it, and the iron sights are good to go. The gun feels beautiful. I will say, my biggest disappointment right now of this overall update is that they didn't do the movement changes. I really did believe that this update was going to, come with movement changes. I thought it was, by what Ake said over on Twitter, but nothing happened. And then in the debrief as well, they didn't mention anything about movement either, so I don't know what's happening, if they are still going to do it, what the plan is. But I'll be real with you guys, I still think 2 hops is a good nerf. I think that would be the best middle ground, and that's coming from someone who enjoys the movement in this game. I take advantage of the movement in pretty much all my gunfights. I think it should be toned down just a little bit more to add a bigger skill gap for the more, top tier players. The lower tier players, they probably won't give a crap if this gets, nerfed by 1 hop or buffed or whatever. They probably just want it completely gone from the game. But this would probably affect the top tier players because then they would have to think a little bit more while they combo, the jump and the crouch. Because right now, even with 3, I feel like you could still spam it without worrying about the weapon sway kicking in. I want the weapon sway to be a problem when it comes to jumping or crouching. I want it to be an element of the gunfights. I want to have to think, okay, well, my gun is going to weapon sway after I jump a couple of times, so I need to make sure I time it. Maybe 1 jump to a couple of crouches, then another jump, and then 1 crouch, 2 jump. Combo it up. But I don't really have to think that way because it doesn't really affect me because I can finish off an enemy before I even get to my 3rd hop, right? It just is what it is. I don't know. I still think it would be a good change and something that would be fun to mess around with. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section. Do you think they should further, nerf it down, or do you think it's perfect or right where it's at? Again, I'm not coming, with this mindset from, nerf it because I want less of a skill gap. I actually want to nerf it because I think that will improve the skill gap from, what I just listed to you guys. But the last part of this overall update that I think is huge and probably one of the best things about it is the shotgun buffs. Again, this was the same worries that I had with the MP7. I thought it was going to go one of 2 ways. Either they were going to buff them and they were going to be the best things in the game, or they were going to, quote-unquote, buff them and feel absolutely 0 changes and they're still absolute garbage. No, not at all. They buffed it just the right amount. You will still lose some accuracy when you're jump shotting or maybe even crouch spamming, but it's nowhere close to being as, bad as it was when the game initially launched or even up until, current date when this update dropped. The shotguns were unusable. You had to stand still, basically. You could strafe, but anytime you wanted to do any style of movement that any other player in the game was taking advantage of, you got penalized. Now that's no longer an issue. I can actually feel effective using a lot of these shotguns. The pump action, the double barrel. I haven't tried the AA-12 yet, but I knew for a fact, if the pump action felt good, the AA-12 was going to feel good. Because everybody's been, pushing over to the AA-12 side because it's the most consistent. You could shoot it more frequently instead of having to wait for a pump or having to nail 2 shots. So it was the way to go. So I already knew that was going to be better after the buff. I was curious about the guns that everybody was, hating, like the pump action. It's so freaking fun now, ladies and gentlemen. I have so many shotgun clips now, and it's hilarious because I have not gotten a single shotgun clip on this channel whatsoever because I just haven't bothered with it. Again, I just felt like I had to play a little too slow. They weren't even bad. They really weren't bad weapons. They were good. It's just, again, there was too many penalties compared to the other weapons. You had to completely change your playstyle in this game in order to rock with them. And it was weird because shotguns, you would think that you want to be able to move a bit more, right? You're supposed to be up close and personal. So when you have an MP7 sweat lord bouncing around your screen and you have a shotgun, you know, typically you would win that up close and personal engagement, but you couldn't because they're flying around and you couldn't keep up with that style. Now it's in a perfect spot, and they did not go overboard because these shotguns, still the majority of the time, I'm going to have to land 2 shots, sometimes even 3 if I miss, you know, a lot. But that's fine because the game has a lot of health. Every player is granted a decent amount of health. You can last in gunfights a lot longer. This isn't Call of Duty where you're dying in a few bullets, and, you know, if you miss your shotgun shell, it's over. You can definitely, you know, go through a gunfight with hitting 2 times with a shotgun. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely handle it. It's not a problem. You can maintain it, and you can still survive a lot of gunfights as long as you land those shots. And the one-taps feel so satisfying now. Jumping off of platforms, air strafing, you know, all of the above while using a shotgun in this game just feels so crispy. And again, it's not too overpowered where you see someone running around with a pump action, one-tapping you every 5 seconds. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid. I understand realism fans love that stuff, but again, this is still an arcade shooter. And it's hard. It's very hard to balance shotguns because, like I said, usually it doesn't turn out like this. Usually, you know, they're either stupidly overpowered or they're very underpowered. You don't really get too many mediums. They actually nailed it pretty nicely. And personally, like I said again, I think it's due to the time to kill that this game has. You know, I really do think that's why, because you are able to last long enough where you can, you know, pump your shotgun twice and not die. You can actually survive pretty long. So it doesn't feel as, you know, bad. And, you know, in other games, that would be a problem, because if you can't one-tap someone with a shotgun, they're going to one-tap you with basically every gun in the game, an AR, an SMG, whatever they want to use, they're going to destroy you. So you have to be able to one-tap. And if the shotguns can't one-tap, then nobody uses them because they're irrelevant. This game, I feel like they are implemented perfectly now. I definitely think that shotguns are going to be more used more frequently. You're going to see them a lot in lobbies, and I highly encourage you guys to give them a shot as well because they are tons of fun to use. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you guys today. I might have some more detailed content going over these, but I just wanted to give you guys my initial impressions after actually trying out the update, playing with everything. This was a very solid update. I didn't bother with ranked because ranked is still in a rough spot in my personal opinion. I'm going to hold off for a couple more updates with that, but when it comes to the casual side of the game, it's feeling better and better and better every single time to get a new update out. The bounce feels phenomenal. I just want to see more bounce with the factions. You know, I still think that the Phantom HP should be discussed with the community. You know, the Spider Bot needs a better animation to strip it off of you so you don't have to worry about it interfering with gunfights too frequently. There's some other balancing problems, but in its current spot, it just, I think it gets more and more playable as the days go on. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, ladies and gentlemen. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern time. Everything revolving around XDefiant. Every update you could possibly think of will be discussed here. And also, we discuss Call of Duty as well. So once Black Ops 6 comes around the corner and we actually get more details and we can play the beta, I'll be discussing that game too. And, you know, you guys know on this channel, I do want them both to succeed. I will, you know, talk down on Black Ops 6 if, you know, the developers don't communicate with us, if they, you know, screw us over in the long run. But as long as they, you know, keep us in the loop and they do exactly what Sledgehammer did here, making us feel like we're a part of the process and also giving us a lot of live service items, you know, weekly challenges to complete. If they keep up the same similar things, I might complain a decent amount about skill-based matchmaking, but still, I will acknowledge that the game is doing good things if they truly do, you know, it good. So, of course, like I said, subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay notified for all that content. And don't forget, we will be live today trying out Daytona, the brand new map that's coming into XDefiant that's going to be made for Zone Control and Escort. It looks beautiful. I saw some gameplay on it. It looks like it has a great flow. I'm excited to give it a go. They're going to have a 24/7 playlist open the second it drops. So, of course, like I said, guys, tune into my stream. I host open lobbies. If you need a squad, you can always hop in if you see an open spot. And, of course, if you want to see my opinion on Daytona before I make a video about it, just tune on in. That stream also, let you go ahead and let you guys know, because usually they're around 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern time. This one will start a bit later at 2 p.m. Eastern time, just so you guys know. But, of course, if you want to check that out, I got a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But, as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.